Hello again, and welcome to another episode of How to Develop Your Writing Skills. Here with me, Mr. Will. If you haven't done so, don't forget to hit subscribe and like so you can get all of the updates on other skills that you might need. So, let's get ahead and go with it. So, this is about sentence starters. Don't you hate it when you are told again and again, you have to change the way that you write. You have to write better, and you have to stop duplicating things. You have to write it in a different way. Well, a lot of times we just don't know how. We just don't know what our other options are there, right? What are the other options that we have in our toolbox? So this is exactly that. You can start your sentences in all kinds of different ways once you're done watching this entire episode. Okay, let's jump straight to it. First of all, when you think about it, what do you start your sentence with? Normally, we would start with our subject, with our person, or with our whatever the case may be. Oh, the dog jumps over the fence. The lazy cat lounges on the sofa, right? It's very subject focused, subject forward, as I like to call it. But what are other ways for us to create our sentences? Because we're so attuned a lot of times in that. Now, different culture will have context forward ahead of subject. And that's just again how we are taught, right? If you are in a certain household and that's how you're taught, that's all you know, and that's okay as well. And that actually is great because it gives you a variety of things, right? And so think to yourself again, right? How many ways do you actually know? So I already talked about subject first and then context first. So that's two. But really, how many ways do we actually know how to start our sentences? Well, let's take a look. First and foremost, we are going to look at different ways. You have variety of tools in your toolbox, really, and that's what today will be. We're going to learn about that. First of all, again, English is very subject forward, right? We let people know about the who and the what first. Then we tell them what happens to them, information about our subject, right? But sometimes we want to, again, put the subject at the end because we want to focus on the what, right? The object of the conversation, so to speak, or in a very official term, it's the active or passive verb or passive voice, right? This is the first starter. You can choose whether you start with an active voice or a passive voice, right? A lot of times, um, certain apps, certain correction tools will remind you that, hey, it's better for you to have an active voice rather than a passive voice. Personally, for me, it's a matter of what you're trying to accomplish. If you want to tell us, if you want us to focus on who is doing what, then yes, by all means, use the active voice. But if you really want us to focus on the receiver of the action, the passive receiver of what's being done to them, because maybe you want people to empathize, right? The victim who was kidnapped or victimized or whatever the case may be, because we want to focus on them first, right? To build the empathy, then by all means do that as well. It really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. But again, tools in your toolbox. You can do an active voice or a passive voice. Here's your second option. Why not use a preposition or a better term, prepositional phrases, right? Because again, it gives you again that context forward, right? What's the context then? The context of time, the context of place, to focus on that first, right? So the example here on the screen is until tomorrow comes, you're not allowed to get out of your bedroom, right? Emphasizing again the time requirement, right? Maybe this is again about being grounded. Maybe this is again a different thing. But again, the focus is this is the time frame, right? So again, context forward with prepositions. What's your other option? Using your suffixes, right? Of ly or ing. So again, this is not a prefix, but a suffix. Well, so what does that mean? So it's actually, in a very simpler way of saying it, it's either you're using an adverb forward or you're using a present participle forward. Present participle is typically known as a gerund, right? So it is the verb plus ly or the verb plus ing. This is again a adverb forward. It tells you in what way. Wearily he sighed a heavy sigh, looking helplessly at the heap of mess in front of him. Immediately we understand just how tired he is by again looking at the descriptor, the adverb descriptor, right? The suffix ing, verb plus ing, right? Screaming in pain. A sense of actions, a sense of context, a sense of certain things that's happening first, right? That gives us an understanding of what's going on. Screaming in pain. He clutched his wound tightly, right? Again, emphasizing the context of what's going on rather than focusing on the person, right? Gives us the reason to understand, oh, this is why he's doing that. Then you have the last one. Is going to be a long one. And it's actually to start with an adverbial clause. Now, keep in mind, before in the previous slide, it's the ly adverb, the adverb of manner. In this case, it's a different types of adverbs. Different series, maybe, different types of adverbs. In my previous one, hint, we talked about using different adverbs to enhance your writing. So in this case, specifically adverbial clause to start, right, with the acronym that I like to use, and this is something that I take from somewhere, right? Intensive English Writing course. This is not from me. I did not invent this. This is again something that I also learned as I went through a different workshop, which I find very helpful to memorize, right? So www.asia. So it's the when, where, while, as, since, if, although. Right? So as we go through some of these things, you can start with the when. When I was a child, I loved climbing trees, focusing on the time. Where there is smoke, there is fire. We know this say, we know this, but again, using again the context of location, the context of place. In this case, this is not that, but I think it's just interesting to use as well to start the sentence. Where there is smoke, there is fire. Then you have while. While I love to stay and chat, I do need to get going, right? So it's kind of like giving a reason first, like I'm gonna go, peace, right? But again, you're forwarding the reason and then kind of like in a very agreeable way of saying, I'm gonna head out, bye, right? Although we won the war, we lost far too much, right? So again, gives you a context of contrast. Since you like to play soccer, I got you a new ball to play with. All right, again, cause and effect, right? If conditionals, like if you're not careful, you might lose what's important to you. If. And last but not least, as I've said before, I don't like this deal at all, right? Like I said before, as I've said before, so same thing. So, are these the only adverbial clauses that you can use? Well, of course not. There are a lot more, right? But again, these are the 7 adverbial clauses to help you start your sentences with, right? And again, it's a very it's a common 7 adverbial clause that you can use in any given setting, right? So again, those are the 4 sentence starters that I would like to share with you, right? So again, if you like it, press the like button. If you would like to know more about the different types to start your sentences, put it down in comments. Would love to read more from you guys, right? And again, this is the beginning part of me sharing some skills for all of you, and there will be more. So have a good day. Peace.